I need to be direct with you about something that's been bothering me for a while now. The vast majority of people who call themselves prepared are actually walking around with death traps strapped to their backs. I'm talking about those bug-out bags everyone's so proud of. They're not survival kits. They're graveyards waiting to happen. You want to know what really terrifies me? It's watching people load up backpacks with 40 pounds of shiny tactical nonsense that looks impressive on Instagram, but won't save their lives when everything falls apart. These folks are following advice from internet personalities who've never spent a night genuinely fighting to stay alive. They're collecting equipment like it's a video game inventory, thinking more items equals better odds. Mom, here's what actually keeps me up at night. The reality of how people die when civilization stops working. Nobody's going to perish because they didn't have some overpriced hatchet with a tactical name. That's fantasy. The real killers are mundane and brutal. Picture this. You're 3 days into a crisis. Your mouth tastes like copper. Your head is pounding. You can barely think straight. You're dying of thirst, literally dying. While your pack is stuffed with gadgets you watch someone use in a 5-minute tutorial but never practiced with yourself. Or imagine this. It's the first night. Temperature drops. You're shivering so violently you can't hold anything steady. Hypothermia is creeping in, shutting down your body piece by piece. Because you dropped $200 on throwing weapons instead of something that actually generates warmth. The truth that nobody wants to hear? Almost everything marketed as survival gear is pure theater. It's dress up for adults. It's people playing pretend in their living rooms, convincing themselves they're ready for the worst. If your bag is filled with credit card-sized tools, those massive survival kits with 100 useless pieces, or knives with hollow handles that snap under real pressure, you haven't prepared for survival. You've prepared for an expensive death. You'll just die surrounded by cool-looking junk that failed you when it mattered most. Let me tell you something that might save your life. Real survival doesn't require 50 tools. It doesn't require 20. It requires 5. It's just 5 fundamental pieces of equipment, and I'd bet money that your bug-out bag is missing at least 3 of them right now. Maybe all 5. That thought should scare you, because when the moment comes, you won't get a second chance to pack correctly. Let me walk you through what actually matters. Pay attention, because this is the difference between making it and becoming the statistic. The first essential tool, a single-wall metal container. We're starting by destroying a popular belief that's gotten too many people into trouble. That expensive, double-walled, vacuum-insulated water bottle you're carrying, the one that keeps your coffee hot for hours, it's not survival equipment, not even close. It's something you take on casual hikes when you know you're coming home. What you actually need is brutally simple. A single-walled container made of stainless steel. I'm talking about a canteen, preferably military surplus. The kind that looks beat up because it's been through actual hell and survived. The kind that's probably older than you are. Why does this matter so much? Because you need to be able to throw this container directly into flames without thinking twice. You need to boil water in it, cook food in it, melt snow when that's your only water source. Sterilize medical tools if someone gets hurt. That fancy insulated bottle everyone loves? It's got a vacuum seal between 2 walls. That's how it keeps temperature. Put that into a fire and you're potentially holding a bomb as pressure builds up inside. Even if it doesn't explode in your face. But the entire design of that bottle is specifically engineered to prevent heat transfer. That's literally its job, keeping hot things hot and cold things cold by blocking thermal conductivity. Which means it's absolutely terrible for the one thing that will keep you alive, purifying contaminated water that's teeming with parasites. Water purification isn't just important, it's the top priority. You've got 3 days maximum without water before your body shuts down. That's it. 72 hours and you're done. Every single time you drink from a stream, a pond, or any questionable water source without properly treating it first, you're gambling with your life. You're spinning a chamber and pulling the trigger. The CDC is crystal clear about this. You need to boil water for a minimum of 60 seconds to eliminate most organisms that cause disease. That basic metal container is what makes this possible. It's the dividing line between staying healthy enough to function and spending your final hours curled up in agony, losing fluids from both ends until you slip into shock. The second essential tool, a ferrocerium rod. Time to demolish another dangerous myth that's everywhere in the prepping community. People genuinely believe that disposable lighters are legitimate survival tools. They're not. They're conveniences that work great until they don't. Convenience has a very short lifespan when things go wrong. The moment your lighter runs out of fuel, you're done. Drop it in water, done. Discover that butane refuses to ignite when temperatures plummet below freezing? Done. You're left holding a useless piece of plastic while the cold closes in. What you need is a ferrocerium rod, a ferro rod. This thing produces a literal shower of sparks that burn at 5,500 degrees Fahrenheit when you scrape a striker against it. It works when it's soaking wet. It works when it's frozen solid. It works covered in mud. A quality ferro rod will give you somewhere around 12,000 strikes before it's exhausted. Let's compare that to your lighter. A typical disposable lighter gives you roughly 35 minutes of total continuous flame before it's empty. Do that math. Really think about those numbers. Waterproof matches? They get soggy eventually and then you're out of luck. Magnesium bars? They require you to shave off material, which becomes nearly impossible when your hands are numb and it's pouring rain. A ferro rod is beautifully simple. Scrape the striker down the rod, sparks fly, fire starts. Get one that's at least 4 inches long and half an inch in diameter. Anything smaller becomes difficult to use, especially when your hands are shaking from cold or stress. Fire is everything. It purifies water so you can drink without dying. It cooks food so you don't get sick. It keeps your body temperature stable so hypothermia doesn't kill you. It serves as a signal that rescue teams can see from miles away. It keeps predators at a distance during the night when you're most vulnerable. Without the ability to make fire, you're just organic matter waiting to freeze or get picked off. A ferro rod is the most reliable method humans have ever developed for creating fire. Period. End of discussion. The third essential tool, a fixed blade knife. Here comes another myth that needs to die, the idea that a multi-tool can substitute for an actual knife. It cannot, not even close. You need a full-tang fixed blade knife. Let me explain what full-tang means, because it's critical. The blade steel runs continuously through the entire handle. There's no folding mechanism that can break, no hollow handle that weakens the structure. Just one uninterrupted piece of steel from tip to pommel. This is what survives when you're batoning wood, splitting logs by hammering the knife through them, prying open containers, digging, and doing all the brutal, ugly work that survival actually requires. Your blade should measure between 4 and 6 inches. This is the sweet spot that balances control with practical utility. Shorter than 4 inches, and you basically have a letter opener that can't handle real tasks. Longer than 6 inches, and you're carrying a machete that's awkward for detail work. You want a simple drop-point blade design made from high-carbon steel. Yes, it will develop rust if you don't maintain it properly. But high-carbon steel holds an edge far better than stainless steel. And critically, when your blade eventually dulls, you can sharpen it on a river rock if that's all you have available. And listen carefully to this part. You need to learn how to actually use your knife before you're in a situation where your life depends on it. My knife only has value if you've developed the skills and muscle memory to use it effectively. Practice now, while mistakes don't cost you everything. Your knife is your most versatile tool by an enormous margin. Treat it like your life depends on proper care and skill, because it absolutely does. The fourth essential tool, a water filtration system. Another dangerous myth needs to be put to rest, the belief that boiling water is sufficient for all situations. It's not. Boiling kills biological pathogens, bacteria, viruses, parasites. That's important. But it does absolutely nothing to remove chemical contaminants, heavy metals, or the sediment and particulate matter that makes some water sources look like liquid mud. Actually, boiling can make chemical contamination worse by concentrating those toxins as water evaporates away. Beyond that, boiling demands resources, fire, time, and fuel. When you're moving fast, trying to cover ground, you don't always have the luxury of stopping for an hour to build a fire, boil water, and wait for it to cool enough to drink. You need a portable filtration system, something like a Sawyer Mini or Life Straw, compact, lightweight devices capable of filtering out bacteria and protozoa down to 0.1 microns. The kind of filter that lets you drink directly from a stream or river without any waiting period. A decent portable filter will process tens of thousands of gallons over its lifetime. That's enough water for years if you maintain it correctly. Here's why this matters so much. Contaminated water kills faster than simple dehydration because it doesn't just deny your body water, It actively attacks you. You get violent vomiting, severe diarrhea. You lose fluids even faster while your body tries to purge the threat. You can go from functional to completely incapacitated in hours. A water filter is insurance against that nightmare. It keeps you mobile and functional when finding safe water becomes a constant, desperate concern. Get one, keep it in your bag, and learn how to backflush and maintain it. Your hydration status determines everything else. If you can't maintain hydration, nothing else matters because you'll be dead. The fifth essential tool, a tarp final myth that needs to be destroyed. The assumption that shelter means packing a tent. Tents are actually liabilities in genuine survival situations. They're heavy. They take up massive amounts of space in your pack. And that bright orange or blue dome tent, it might as well have a neon sign saying, "I'm here. I have supplies. Come and take my stuff." What you actually need is simple. A rugged waterproof tarp. Minimum size of 8 feet by 10 feet. Preferably in earth tones or muted colors that don't advertise your presence. Why is a tarp superior? Because it's infinitely adaptable to different situations. You can pitch it as an A-frame shelter, configure it as a lean-to, use it as a ground cloth to keep moisture away from your body, turn it into a rain collection system, condition it for signaling, fashion it into a stretcher if someone gets injured, set it up as a windbreak. A tarp weighs around 2 pounds and compresses down small in your pack. Modern tarps made from high-performance fabrics like Dyneema offer incredible strength to weight ratios. They're nearly indestructible while weighing almost nothing. Compare that to a tent, 10 pounds minimum. That takes up half your bag's capacity and can only be used one way. Even the American Red Cross recommends tarps in emergency preparedness kits because they're that practical. Exposure is a killer. Cold is a killer. Getting wet is a killer. Shelter is what prevents your body heat from radiating away into the environment. It's what keeps rain and wind from sapping your strength. A tarp accomplishes this job better and more flexibly than any other shelter option you can carry. Why these 5 tools actually work? Here's the fundamental truth. Survival isn't about having the maximum amount of gear. It's about having the correct gear, the specific tools that address your actual biological needs. Water, fire, shelter. The ability to process materials and adapt to situations. Your body doesn't care about your tactical belt or your morale patches. And it cares about staying hydrated, maintaining core temperature, and remaining functional enough to make decisions. The metal container and water filter keep you hydrated, preventing death by dehydration or waterborne illness. The ferro rod keeps you warm and gives you fire for multiple uses. The knife allows you to process firewood, build shelter components, prepare food, and handle countless other tasks. The tarp prevents exposure from killing you while you sleep. Everything beyond these 5 tools is optional. Nice to have, sure, but not essential for survival. The terrifying reality. This brings us to the part that should genuinely frighten you. There's no resupply coming. No delivery trucks. No Amazon drone dropping fresh batteries or replacement parts. No running to the store when something breaks. It's just you. These 5 tools. And whatever knowledge you've actually internalized, not just watched in videos or read about, but truly learned through practice. Think about what you can do with just these 5 things. You can purify water and stay hydrated. You can create fire on demand. You can cut, carve, shape, and build whatever you need. You can stay dry and protected from the elements. In a world that's collapsed into chaos, where most people are dying within the first week, those capabilities represent an enormous victory. They're the difference between being among the survivors and being among the statistics. If you make it through the first month, the first year, congratulations. You actually did it. You beat the odds that killed countless others. If you don't make it, well, at least you tried. And when everything's gone wrong, the attempt itself has value. Now, here's your assignment. Get your bug-out bag. Empty it completely. Look at everything you've packed. How much of it is actually useful? How much is theater? How much did you buy because it looked cool or because someone online said you needed it? You've got a lot of garbage to remove. You've got a very short list of essential items to acquire and pack correctly. You've got skills to practice before they're needed. Time to get serious about this. Your life might depend on it sooner than you think. Either way, you're not finished, not even close.